History remembers Cleopatra as the beautiful queen who seduced powerful Roman men. But that's a lie. It's Roman propaganda, designed to hide a terrifying truth. One woman, an Egyptian queen, came dangerously close to ruling the entire Roman Empire herself. This isn't a love story. This is the story of the most audacious political gamble in ancient history, and how Cleopatra almost won. To understand how she did it, you have to forget the Hollywood movies. Cleopatra wasn't just beautiful, she was a genius. She spoke 9 languages, was a master of mathematics, and a brilliant military strategist. She inherited a kingdom, Egypt, that was rich but teetering on the brink of collapse, squeezed by the unstoppable power of Rome. Lesser rulers would have bent the knee, becoming another Roman puppet. But Cleopatra wasn't a lesser ruler. She saw Rome's weakness. Its ambition was driven by men, and these men were locked in a brutal civil war. Her plan? Not to fight Rome, but to hijack it from the inside. Her first target was the most powerful man in the world, Julius Caesar. When he arrived in Egypt, hot on the heels of his rival Pompey, Cleopatra didn't just wait to be summoned. In a legendary move of pure audacity, she had herself smuggled past enemy lines and delivered to Caesar's private quarters, rolled up in a carpet. Imagine the scene. Caesar, the master of the world, unrolls a rug, and out tumbles the Queen of Egypt. It wasn't about seduction. It was a power play. It was a statement. I am not like other leaders. I take risks. And I am your equal. Caesar was captivated, not by her beauty, but by her intellect and her ambition, which mirrored his own. They became partners. Cleopatra gave Caesar the immense wealth of Egypt to fund his wars and secure his power in Rome. In return, Caesar used his legions to crush her rivals and place her firmly on the Egyptian throne. And then came the child, Caesarion. His name literally meant Little Caesar. This wasn't just a son. He was a living, breathing fusion of Egypt's ancient divine monarchy and Rome's future. He was Cleopatra's ace in the hole. Her plan was clear. Caesar would rule Rome, and their son, a god-king with the blood of Caesar, would inherit it all. She moved to Rome, not as a conquered queen, but as a visiting monarch. She held court in a lavish villa where Roman senators flocked to her, drawn by her wealth, intelligence, and influence. The Romans were both fascinated and terrified. They called her a witch, a foreign temptress corrupting their great leader. What they really feared was her power. They saw Caesar acting more like a king than a consul, and they saw her, an Egyptian, as the architect of this change. They feared Rome was about to become a monarchy, with its capital not in Rome, but in Alexandria. And they were probably right. But then, disaster. On the Ides of March, 44 BC, Julius Caesar was assassinated. The senators who stabbed him thought they were saving the Republic. In reality, they had just thrown Cleopatra's grand plan into chaos. With Caesar dead, her position in Rome was gone. She fled back to Egypt with her son, her dreams seemingly in tatters. But Cleopatra was nothing if not resilient. Rome once again descended into civil war, this time between Caesar's assassins and his heirs. The most powerful of these heirs was Mark Antony, a brilliant general, but a man who loved luxury and power in equal measure. Cleopatra saw her second chance. She knew Antony needed her. He needed Egypt's money and its grain to feed his armies. So she waited. When they finally met, it wasn't in a smuggled carpet. This time, Cleopatra orchestrated one of the greatest PR stunts in history. She sailed up the river Kidnus to meet Antony in a magnificent golden barge, with purple sails and silver oars. She was dressed as the goddess Venus, surrounded by attendants. The entire city emptied to witness the spectacle. Antony, who saw himself as the god Dionysus, was left waiting alone in the marketplace. She wasn't coming to him. He was coming to her. She established the dynamic from the very beginning. She was the one with the power. They became the ultimate power couple of the ancient world. Their alliance was both political and personal. Together, they ruled the entire eastern half of the Roman world like a private empire. They had 3 children, further cementing their dynasty. In a public ceremony known as the Donations of Alexandria, Antony declared Caesarion to be Caesar's true son and heir, and he divided the eastern territories among his own children with Cleopatra. He was essentially carving up the Roman Empire and handing it to her family. To the other man in charge of Rome, Caesar's adopted son Octavian, this was an act of treason. Octavian was cold, calculating, and a master of propaganda. He launched a vicious campaign against Cleopatra in Rome. He portrayed her as a decadent, foreign sorceress who had bewitched Antony and planned to conquer Rome. He painted the coming war not as a Roman civil war, but as a war of defense against a foreign invader, Queen Cleopatra. He cleverly shifted the focus from his rivalry with Antony to a fight for Rome's very soul. It all came to a head at the naval battle of Actium in 31 BC. The combined fleets of Antony and Cleopatra faced the fleet of Octavian. The battle was a disaster. For reasons historians still debate, Cleopatra's squadron withdrew from the battle early on, and Antony, seeing her ship leave, abandoned his entire fleet to follow her. It was a catastrophic military blunder. Their forces were shattered, and the path to Egypt was wide open for Octavian's legions. They fled back to Alexandria, their dream of a shared empire destroyed. Octavian's forces closed in. Antony, hearing a false report that Cleopatra was dead, took his own life. The story goes that he was carried to Cleopatra's mausoleum, where she had barricaded herself and died in her arms. Octavian captured Cleopatra and planned to parade her through the streets of Rome in chains, the ultimate symbol of his victory. But Cleopatra would never allow that humiliation. She would never be a trophy for the man who destroyed her dreams and her family. In her final act of defiance, she took her own life. The legend says it was an asp, a cobra, the symbol of Egyptian royalty, smuggled to her in a basket of figs. It was a death fit for a queen, a final, untouchable act of control. With her death, Octavian was left as the sole ruler. He hunted down and executed her son, Caesarion, famously saying, "2 Caesars are one too many." He couldn't risk the existence of Caesar's biological son. Octavian would later become Emperor Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, and he would build his empire on the ashes of Cleopatra's. To secure his legacy, he needed to erase hers, or at least rewrite it. And so, the image of Cleopatra, the brilliant strategist, the political genius who nearly united East and West under her own dynasty, was buried. She was replaced with the caricature we know today, the foreign seductress who destroyed a great Roman man. But the truth is so much bigger than that. Cleopatra wasn't a footnote in Roman history. She was the final and greatest opponent to the creation of the Roman Empire as we know it. For over 20 years, she matched wits with the most powerful men in the world and almost beat them at their own game. She failed, but how close she came tells us everything we need to know. She wasn't just the last queen of Egypt. She was the woman who almost ruled the world. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden stories from history.